All right, this is Genesis chapter 49 decoded. This chapter focuses on the 12 tribes and it gives a description, a blessing towards the 12 tribes. So we're going to analyze that blessing and equate it to cosmology. And we know by studying scripture by now, we should know that scripture is definitely three-dimensional, right? It's literal, astronomical / cosmological, and anatomical, right? So the biblical stories written in the stars, that's what they read before the Bible, like in the Abrahamic days. They read the stars. So God wrote the biblical story in the stars, also within us, right? In the body. Do we worship the stars or the body? No way. Right? We just observe these things. And I don't even really want to entangle you so much into it. Um, but yet, observation is very important, right? Does God still use the stars and the body to relay messages to us? I believe so. As we've seen recently in Israel and the Revelation 12 sign, or at least what it looked like to be, we saw a lot of commotion in Virgo at the time, just recently, and a lot of channels out there attributed it to possibly um, the rapture because of the Revelation 12 sign, the woman. But if you really read it, in depth, um, it could be seen both ways. So I'm not going to poo on the rapture people. But this channel, we attributed it to a warning. Uh, and it turned out to be a warning. Um, Actually, we attribute it to possibly even destruction. And that's exactly what happened. The war broke out over there. And if you study the Virgo sequences throughout the Bible, like the woman, Revelation 12, you see her fleeing from the dragon, right? So it's not so much of a positive message. Even when Christ was born, they had to flee from Herod, right? So there's good and bad attached to it, but at the same time, we have to discern things the best we can. Same thing with the um, the eclipses over America, right? We had the Revelation 12 sign in 2017 and another one last year in October. I believe those were attributed to the 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of famine, as we were in that section of the Bible studying Joseph and his two dreams, the kine and then the corn were attributed, and we broke it down to the Alpha and the Omega, the Aleph and the Toph over America. And they're just shy of 7 years apart. I believe that this one is early because it is a warning before the famine, right? Before the tribulation or whatever, um, or Daniel's trouble, um, Jacob's trouble. I'm sorry, the 70 weeks of Daniel, um, and those are just all different sayings for the trib. Okay, and so the stars are very valid to us. We do observe them, the stars and the sun and the moon, right? Just like in this story, right, what we're currently on, remember the 12 tribes are associated to the stars. Remember the dream of Joseph, right? Where his mother and his dad were the sun and the moon, and then the siblings were the stars, and they made obeisance to him, right? So they're letting you know the stars are connected to the siblings, to the brothers, to the 12 tribes. So they're letting you right there know that there's a connection to cosmology, as well as the sun and the moon, just like we'll see in these eclipses coming up. And we did videos on those before. Um, I did erase all of it and started over. I just wanted to start over clean, but I see other channels, you know, picking up where I left off, or I know they're not watching this, but it's through the Holy Spirit, And I'm sure you can see the fruit bearing now. Um, I hope you can, and I hope that keeps you tuned in. Um, I'll even make a little assumption on the Super Bowl. I won't get down into it. Maybe I'll make a video on it later. But how we've decoded the Revelation 12 sign in cinema, right? The symbol, and the symbol's always followed by sudden destruction, right? And it's no coincidence that they're holding the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, right? Which is Nevada. And we know that the Nevada symbol is connected to sin, right? We know that it's connected to the tip of the needle, the guillotine, and the Revelation 12 sign. It's a layered symbol, and it all means the same thing, is the arrival, right? The arrival of who. And it's no coincidence that Las Vegas is the brightest city in America, right? Like the bright and shiny one. Hmm. And it's no coincidence that they're playing in a Raiders stadium, right? And check out what this Raiders definition. A fast, lightly armed ship operating against merchant shipping. And if you watch the last video, I talked about the Starbucks emblem being an emblem of the maritime law or associated to it, and how we're all under maritime law. And coincidentally, that this Raiders definition is seems to foreshadow that, right? It's speaking in maritime law language, which is very interesting to me. And then also, Vegas is the home of the Running Rebels, right? Rebellion. And it's no coincidence, too, that you have, like, San Francisco, you have the Golden Gate Bridge, which is, as we decoded on this channel, the Golden Gate Assembly, which is DNA assembly, rearranging DNA, like cloning and stuff like that. Also, 49 is a Jubilee year, so you can see your biblical connection to it. And then the Chiefs. The Chiefs are horsemen. Um, Maybe I'll do a further deep dive on this, but I think roughly it's just another symbolic analogy of the arrival of the bright and shining one, not the good one either. The old AC. It's just a ritual for that, and that's why they choose LV. And did you know? I was watching Got a Minute, and he mentioned that one of his subscribers said that okay, so 58 days, so it's Super Bowl 58, and 58 days after the Super Bowl is the X eclipse. Precisely. Really weird, huh? Anyway, so that's the reason why we take in consideration the sun, the moon, and the stars. And it says it in Genesis 1:14 that, God put the lights in the firmament so we can divide the day and the night and the signs and the seasons, right? And then we have Joseph's dream as well, right? So we should know by now that these things we have to take into consideration. All right, so I'll just get on with the chapter. I'll try to break it down tribe by tribe as best as I can. There's a lot of information. Okay, verse 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together, and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defile thou it. He went up to my couch. Okay, so Reuben is associated with water, right? It's right there in the verse. Okay, so this information I got from um, Robert Williams. Um, he has a YouTube channel. He studies the Maseroth. You can Google um, Robert Williams, understanding the Maseroth. Just his name, you should find up Maseroth connections to Robert Williams. If you have any difficulties, let me know and I'll leave a link. Um, I try to just keep it clean and quick and easy. Hopefully, this will be enough information. Okay, so I picked this guy because I've been studying for the last couple months. It just saves me so much time on research. Um, a lot of the a lot of uh, the constellation that we found and discovered in the last since the beginning of this Bible study, a lot of them has paralleled with Robert, and I think his information is pretty legit. There's a couple things that didn't line up, but everything else pretty much did. So I stand by it. Um, and this guy is just like completely focused on that. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, well, here you go. Okay. Reuben is the constellation Aquarius. Hebrew name is Delhi. The Hebrew number is Tet, which is the number 9, and the month is Shavuot. Okay. And the biblical association is judgment on southern kingdom of Judah. Okay. And if you go visit his website or whatever, you can even Google him. um, he goes into deep explanations of why and how and when, and a lot better than I can do. So I just gathered the information as best as I could just to share it with you as fast as possible and try to make it easy as possible. Okay, verse 5, Simon and Levi are brethren, instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. O my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly, my honor be not thou united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self will they dig down a wall. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and in their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Okay, so Simon is associated to Capricorn, Hebrew name Gedi or Jedi. The Hebrew number is Chet, 8, and the Hebrew month is Tebeth. Levi is Pisces. Hebrew name is Dagum. The Hebrew number is Yod, which is 10, and Hebrew month is Adar. All right, verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, and he couched as a lion, as an old lion, who shall rouse him up. So this one's self-explanatory, right? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. So we can see that Judah is obviously associated to the lion, and it sounds very constellational, doesn't it? So we know that there's some kind of weird connection going on here for the new believers or for the naysayers. Um, it's no coincidence that Judah is the tribe whom Jesus came from, and Jesus is known as the lion, right? The lion of the tribe of Judah. And we know that there's a constellation called Leo. Binding his foal unto the vine, and his ass's colt unto thine choice vine, he washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Verse 11 sounds a lot like Revelation. Remember where he has his clothes dipped in blood and a name written on the thigh that nobody knows? So we can even see a Revelation connection here. Okay. So Judah is associated with Leo. Aryeh is the Hebrew name. Hebrew number is Zadi, which is 18, and Av, the month of Av, is connected to Judah. Okay. Next up, we have Zebulun, verse 13. Zebulun shall dwell the haven of the sea, and he shall be for a haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. Okay. Zebulun is Aries. The Hebrew name is Taleh. The Hebrew number is Lamed, and it's 12, and the month is Abib. So these numbers are actually associated to the tribes as well. So in Hebrew, the numbers are symbols, and the symbols tell a story, and they're all connected to the tribes as well. This guy already done his information, his homework, so we don't have to. And you can double check it. I've been studying it really closely, and like I said before in the last video, that you can Google people's connections to the constellations, and they'll all be a lot of them are the majority of the tribes are the same. Just here one or two that are not right, that are flip flopped. It's a tough thing to do. It's a tough burden to bear to try to connect all this stuff. But we're doing the best, right? We can. But I stand by this guy so far. So I hope he enjoys information. Again, okay. 14. Ishar is a strong ass crouching down between two burdens, and he saw that rest was good in the land, that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, became a servant unto tribute. Okay. Issachar is Cancer. The Hebrew name is Sartan. Hebrew number is An, which is 16, and the month is Tammuz. Okay. Around Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path. Biteth the horse heel, so that the rider shall fall backward. I have waited for thy salvation, O Lord. Okay, so Dan is associated with Scorpio. So if you do a blue letter Bible search and you put serpent and snake, or you put I guess a better way to say it is that the descriptions in the Bible are very similar. So the descriptions of the serpent and the snake are very similar. And then if you blue letter Bible each one of the names, they usually come up together. So that's how you know that there's a connection between the serpent and the scorpion. And they both sting. They both, go for the heels. There's a direct connection with that. All you got to do is do some light research on the name serpent or snake, and either one will pop up. That goes for any of these things. Like how Reuben was connected to water, you'll see a lot of water attributions either to Reuben or that describes the tribe, right? Um, I did it with Benjamin. Um, Benjamin was Gemini, and uh, he's also. It says that when you get to him, he's associated to the wolf, and I just put in wolf, and I saw lamb pop up with the wolf, right? The lamb and the wolf, the lamb and the wolf, the lamb and the wolf. And so I knew that the lamb was connected to the wolf. So I just did a little constellation research, and then I typed in, the wolf was associated to Sirius because it's a dog, right? It's another form of canine, and how the Phoenicians used to consider Sirius, the sun, was connected or associated to the lamb, right? The lamb is the sun, right? And that constellation is connected to Gemini. And remember, the Mazzaroth is the Hebrew version of the zodiac. It's the Hebrew version of the zodiac before the Bible was a thing. So there's 12 constellations and 36 subconstellations that are um, likened to those constellations, and that's exactly what Sirius is. It's a associated constellation to Gemini. So you can find it. It's not too hard. I know it's kind of confusing, but if you're really diligent, you can find all this stuff yourself. It just takes a little time. All right. Next we have Gad. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. So Gad is associated to Sagittarius. The Hebrew word is Kislev. The Hebrew number is 7, Zayim, and Kislev is the month. Um, I don't have the Hebrew word for Sagittarius. I'm sorry. We're going to keep on going to Asher. Out of Asher, his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. Okay, Asher is associated to Libra. The Hebrew name is Manzanaim. Um, the Hebrew number is Hey 5, Hey, which is the number 5, and the month is Ethanim. I don't know my Hebrew that well, but yeah. All right, so the next one is Naphtali is a hind let loose. He giveth goodly words, and that's associated to Virgo. And the Hebrew name is Bethula. The Hebrew number is 19 is Kuf, and the month is Elul. And the association to it is the development of the bride. I'm sorry I left out some of the associations, but I'm just trying to save time. Like I said, if you just visit that website, you get all this information. Okay, so back to Virgo is Bethula, and the number that's associated is Kuf, right? 19. And it's just weird that this number 19 is associated to Kuf, and Kuf means like monkey or laughter. And in Phoenician, believe it or not, Kuf is, or sorry, in Aramaic, Kuf is the eye of the needle. Isn't that weird? So Naphtali is associated to Virgo. The Hebrew name is Bethula, right? Right, like Bethlehem. The number is 19 Kuf, and Kuf means like monkey or laughter, like because monkeys laugh. And then you have the number 19 associated to it. And then in Aramaic, Kuf means eye of the needle. Doesn't that remind you of that Bible verse? It's easier for a rich man. It's easier for a camel to enter the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter heaven. And isn't it coincidental, like COVID-19, right? And then you have it with Virgo. It's associated to like 9/11, and then we know that um, COVID-19 is actually even associated to Virgo as well because it's 19, the 19-year Metonic cycle that's connected to it. It's just the word spread and it became public on different dates. But you know dang well that the V actually started distributing in probably wherever like China in September, of course, or Virgo, without a doubt. And then you see the number that's associated with it. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too deep on this, but I thought it was kind of cool. All right, so the next is Joseph. It's a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. The archers have sorely grieved him, and shot at him, and hated him. But his bow abode in strength, and his arms and his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. Thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel, even by the God of thy father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb, The blessings of the Father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors. Unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills, they shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren. And we can even see the foreshadowing of Jesus through here, right? Just in Joseph alone, because we know Joseph is the story of Joseph is like the story of the 7 year tribulation, right? The seven good, and seven plenty, the seven plenty, and seven famine. And how Joseph was associated to the rainbow through his colorful jacket, and we know the rainbow is Christ because he's the seven spirits. Um, but just like in all the 12 tribes, we have a foreshadowing of Christ, just like the sun goes through all the 12 constellations. That's where they got the name Skywalker from, right? Luke Skywalker is, um, you know, he's a Christ-like character, and he walks the sky just like the sun does, walks through all the constellations. So therefore, he's associated with all the constellations. So we got the same thing happening here. Okay, the description that associates Benjamin is preaching of the gospel to the Jews. Okay, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, before I get to that, I'll finish Benjamin. Benjamin is Gemini. Okay, oh, hold on. Joseph, I'm messing this up, so I'm sorry. Joseph is Taurus. Hebrew name is Shor. The Hebrew number is Nun, which is 14, and the month is Ziv. Benjamin is Gemini. The Hebrew name is Thummim. The Hebrew number is Sivan, which is 15. Samek, which is 15, and the Hebrew month is Sivan. Okay, the Bible description of Benjamin is preaching the gospel to the Gentiles, and that's associated or connected to Joseph, right? Preaching the gospel to the Jews. Naphtali's Bible description was the development of the bride. Asher's description was Exodus and giving of the law. Gad's description was Joshua's conquest to the land of Canaan. Dan was 40 years in the wilderness with snakes and scorpions, right? Issachar was time of trouble and the second coming. Zebulun, the land of God proclaiming victory to the captives. Judah, judgment of Babylon the Great. Levi, scattering and recovering of the lost sheep of Judah. Simeon, story of King David. And Reuben, judgment on the southern kingdom of Judah. So that's the overall sum of each tribe, and it seems to be pretty accurate to me. And like I said, as they come up, we'll decode them like we had before in previous chapters. Like with Dinah and Rebecca and Isaac. Like Isaac being Aries or associated, the story of Isaac being associated with Aries. Um, you know, when they come one by one, they're a little easier to chew on. I know this is a lot of information. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you on it. And I can explain this stuff. I can do a whole video on just this if you like. If not, like I said, go visit that website. All right. So next, hold on before we get to that. Okay. Verse 28, and these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is it that their father spake unto them, and blessed them every one according to his blessings, and he blessed them. He charged them and said unto them, I am to be gathered unto my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field of Ephron the Hittite for a possession of a burying place. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah and his wife. Rebekah his wife. And there I buried Leah. Remember, Rebekah and Leah represented the Jews and the Gentiles. Verse 32, the purchase of the field and of the cave that is therein was from the children of Heth. And when Jacob had made an end of commanding his sons, he gathered up his feet into the bed and yielded up the ghost and was gathered unto the people. Okay? And there's an anatomical connection to all this too, which we've gone over several times, but just in case there might be somebody new watching. And I'm sorry, these are the 12 constellations, and then the sun goes through each one of them. Okay? And remember, we're just here to observe these things, not to worship them, not to associate with them. And that is forbidden in the Bible, but it is permitted to observe these things, as in Genesis 1:14 and Genesis 38. And there's a couple other ones out there. But, all right. So the inferior brain is the back part of the brain stem. So right here you have a little character. He's very Christ-like. Some of them are way more descriptive, where you can see like the torso of the creature, of this little symbol. I didn't mean to call it a creature, but this is all in the back of our heads, and connected, that flows through it, is a bunch of blood vessels, right? And so this character reminds me of Revelations. His vestibule, his clothes dipped in blood. And when you study this and you see the diagram of the blood vessels going through, all your blood vessels go through here, all your brain. And there's so many, all the blood vessels and the nerves go through here. And it looks just like his vestibule or his clothes dipped in blood. So there's another layer of the story right there. Then it also looks like Christ on a donkey. See the horse now? Or Christ on the white horse when he comes back. Remember, there's the Antichrist on the white horse too, but that's not what this is referring to. And we know this is Christ, or the Christ, not the Christ, but the resemblance of Christ, the biblical Christ written within us, because of the 12 cranial nerves. There's only 12 cranial nerves in your brain, right? And then you have the one cranial nerve that leaves the brain and goes into all the vital organs, kind of like how Christ descended, then resurrected, and then ascended back to heaven, right? Remember, the head, figuratively speaking, represents the heaven, and then the body represents the earth, like the rib cage. We're caged here. The heart scrambled is earth, right? And then this even looks like God sitting on his throne. Um, I'm sure people are wondering, can we match these up to per apostle or per tribe? I'm not too sure. Um, I've tried. I got as far as Peter and Jesus, or Peter and maybe the tribe of Judah. I don't know. Peter was associated to the ear, the vestibulocochlear nerve, because the cock crowed 3 times. Right? He was associated to the cock, to the chicken. Right? And he cut off the ear of the servant, or the guard. I think it was a high priest servant actually, but people know him as the guard. That he cut the ear off, and so that naturally, um, is right here, the vestibulocochlear nerve. I think that's definitely associated with Peter. Um, and then the vagus nerve goes down into the body, just like the story of Jesus, which may be associated to the tribe of Judah. That's a whole nother study in itself, and it's going to take some time to figure this stuff out. Um, Maybe someone out there has been working at it, and they might know more. And you know, I try to keep my ear out to the streets and see if I can find any more information. And like I said, this this channel is a collective effort. It's not just me. It's not just you. It's from the community. Um, it's from the Holy Spirit. You know, it's just the collective. I don't claim ownership on none of this stuff. If you want to use this information, if you want to share it, go for it. By all means, if you have any questions, go for it. That's pretty much all I have. Let's see here. That's it. So, yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I hope you liked this video. I know it was a lot of information. Um, I tried my best to relay it and cut it down the best I could. Again, if you want me to make other videos on this same content, more, um, more revised, I can. Just let me know. Thank you for watching.